My name is Kinsley Morris. I'm 34 years old, and until 3 months ago, I thought I was 6 months away from getting married. That illusion ended on a Tuesday afternoon at exactly 2:07 p.m. I was finishing up reports at my dining table, laptop open, coffee cooling beside me, when my phone buzzed. I didn't rush to check it. I wasn't expecting anything urgent. Then I saw his name. I remember noticing how calm I felt as I unlocked the screen. No racing heart, no dread, just stillness. The message read, Kinsley, I need space to focus on myself. I'm moving out to find my creative direction. Keep the ring. I don't deserve it after putting my dreams on hold for this relationship. I read it once, then again, then a third time, slowly. 4 years together, living in my house for the past 2, engaged for 6 months, wedding deposits already paid, a $12,000 engagement ring sitting in my jewelry drawer upstairs. And this was how he ended it. What surprised me wasn't the text. It was my reaction. No tears, no shaking, no urge to call him. Just a strange, icy clarity settling into my chest. He'd been drifting for months, talking about creative fulfillment, spending nights at that downtown art collective with people who used words like energy and expression but never seemed to pay rent on time. He'd come home late, smelling like cheap wine and studio paint. I'd found receipts for art supplies he couldn't afford on his part-time marketing income. When I asked, he said it was an investment in himself. I think deep down I'd already known. So I typed my reply. 2 words. Smart decision. Then I blocked his number. The silence afterward felt clean. I didn't scream. I didn't collapse. I stood up, rinsed my mug, and walked upstairs to the bedroom. I opened the drawer and stared at the ring for a long moment. Beautiful, heavy, expensive, and suddenly meaningless. My next move wasn't emotional. It was practical. I called my jeweler. Marcus, it's Kinsley. A pause. Hey, everything okay? That engagement ring I bought 6 months ago. The 2-carat princess cut. Can you buy it back? Another pause. Longer this time. Wedding off? He decided to find himself. A quiet exhale on the other end. Yeah, I can take it back. Market value right now. About $9,800. You paid retail at 12. That's fine. Can you bring it in today? No, I said, glancing at my front door. You can pick it up. 2 hours later, Marcus handed me a certified check. The ring was gone. By 6 p.m., I was on a group chat with my closest girlfriends. Vegas this weekend, who's in? Within an hour. Flights booked, suite reserved. Upstairs, his easel still stood in the spare room. Canvases leaned against the walls. Paint tubes cluttered half the garage. I didn't touch any of it. He'd wanted space. I was giving him exactly that. And he had no idea what it was about to cost him. Vegas smelled like recycled air, perfume, and possibility. That was the first thing I noticed when we stepped off the plane late Friday night. Me, Lauren, Tessa, and Brooke, 4 women in our 30s who hadn't planned a girls' trip in years because life was always in the way. Careers, relationships, responsibilities, compromises. I paid for everything with the ring money. Flights, hotel suite, meals, shows. Every swipe of my card felt symbolic, like I was converting something heavy and useless into something light and temporary, and exactly what I needed. What I didn't feel was guilt. That surprised me most. On the flight out, Lauren leaned across the aisle and asked quietly, Are you okay? Like actually okay? I looked out the window as the city lights disappeared beneath us. I think I've been grieving this relationship for months, I said. I just didn't know it yet. They didn't push. That's what real friends do. They let silence do its work. Vegas did the rest. We laughed too loudly at dinner. We lost money at blackjack and didn't care. We watched a ridiculous show with dancers and pyrotechnics and music so loud it shook something loose inside my chest. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't managing someone else's emotions. No one needed reassurance. No one needed patience. No one needed to find themselves at my expense. On Saturday night, standing on the balcony of our suite with a plastic cup of champagne in my hand, I realized something uncomfortable but undeniable. I didn't miss him. Back home, my house sat exactly as I'd left it. His clothes still hung in the closet. His shoes lined up by the door like obedient little soldiers waiting for orders that would never come. His art supplies remained untouched, claiming space that no longer felt like theirs to claim. I hadn't heard from him. Not a text, not a call, not a single attempt to clarify, soften, or walk it back. I assumed, naively, as it turned out, that he was focusing on himself. When we landed Sunday night, I felt grounded, clear, almost optimistic. Monday morning, I made coffee, sat at the table, opened my laptop, At 10:04 a.m., someone started pounding on my front door. Not knocking, pounding. I froze. Then I stood slowly and walked to the window beside the door. And there he was. 2 suitcases, wrinkled clothes, hair unwashed, eyes ringed with exhaustion and panic. He looked like someone who had run out of options. I opened the door just enough to step into the frame. "Kinsley," he said, relief flooding his face. "Thank God. My key isn't working." I changed the locks. The color drained from his face. "What? Why would you do that?" I wrapped my arms loosely across my chest. Not defensive, just finished. "You moved out," I said. "You told me you were leaving." "I didn't mean permanently," he said quickly. "I just needed a few days to clear my head." I tilted my head slightly. "Where have you been?" His eyes darted away. "Staying with some people from the art collective." "Which people?" He frowned. "Does it matter?" "Yes," I said calmly. "It does." A long pause. Maya's place. Maya, the woman who ran half the collective events, the one who'd always laughed a second too long at his jokes, the one who called herself a creative mentor while circling men like opportunities. "And how did that work out?" I asked. He swallowed. "Her boyfriend came back early from a trip." I raised an eyebrow. "There was a misunderstanding," he rushed. "He got upset. I had to leave." "A misunderstanding," I repeated, "at 2 a.m, in her studio." "It wasn't like that," he insisted. We were just talking about art." "Of course you were." He stepped closer. "I came back because I realized I made a mistake. I love you, Kinsley. We can get past this." My gaze dropped to his bare hand. "Where's the ring?" he asked suddenly. "You said to keep it." "I thought that meant you were holding on to it," he said. "Like, for us." "I sold it." The words landed like a slap. "You what?" "I sold the ring," I repeated. "Got $9,800 for it. Paid for a weekend in Vegas." His knees actually buckled. He grabbed the door frame. "You can't be serious." "I am." Tears welled up instantly. "Please," he said, voice cracking. "We can get another ring. I'll get a real job. I'll pay you back." "With what money?" I asked softly. "You quit your marketing job 2 months ago." "I'll figure it out." I shook my head. "Your things are still here," I said. "You can collect them this weekend. Bring a truck." "Can I just move back in?" he pleaded. "We were engaged." "Were," I corrected. I stepped back and closed the door. He pounded on it for another 10 minutes. I didn't open it again. By Friday, the story had already started to mutate, like all messy breakups do once other people begin retelling them. To him, I'd become cold. To his friends, unhinged. To his mother, vindictive. To me, I was just a woman who believed words mattered. And when someone texted, "I'm moving out. Keep the ring." I don't deserve it. I took it literally. I didn't read hidden meanings into it. I didn't chase him like a scene from a movie. I didn't beg for closure like it was a gift someone could hand me. I closed the door. And I meant it. Still, even with all that clarity, there were moments, small, human moments, when my heart betrayed me. Like when I found his favorite hoodie folded in the laundry basket and realized I'd washed it automatically, out of habit. Or when I reached for my phone in the middle of the night because I'd heard a noise downstairs, and my fingers hovered over his name before I remembered he was blocked. But every time softness tried to creep in, reality shoved it back out. Because the truth was, he didn't come home on Monday looking apologetic. He came home looking evicted. And once I understood that, something in me hardened permanently. Saturday arrived fast. At 8 a.m, I began stacking boxes near the front door, everything that belonged to him. His easel, canvases, paint tubes, sketchbooks, the speaker he used to blast inspiration music while I tried to sleep. I didn't destroy anything. I didn't throw paint on it like some dramatic revenge fantasy. I packed it neatly. Because I wanted the end to be clean, even if he wasn't. At 10:15 a.m., a text came through from an unknown number. "Please don't do this like a stranger. I'm coming with my sister. We just want my things." His sister. Of course. She'd never liked me. Not openly, not loudly, but in the quiet, poisonous way some women resent you for refusing to be smaller. I didn't respond. At 11:03 a.m., a U-Haul pulled into my driveway. And when I opened the door, there he was, standing beside the truck with his sister, both of them wearing the same expression, wounded entitlement. "Hey," he said, voice too soft, like we were still something. I stepped aside. "Everything's ready." His sister's eyes swept over the boxes. "Wow," she muttered. "You really went all out." 3 hours last night, I said calmly. I wanted it done properly. He looked at the boxes like they were a crime scene. "You didn't have to pack it like that," he said. "Yes," I replied, "I did." His sister Emma crossed her arms. "This is excessive." I didn't even flinch. So was ending a 4-year relationship through a text message. Silence snapped between us. He cleared his throat. Kinsley, can we talk for a minute? Just us? No, I said. His face tightened. Why are you being like this? I stared at him, truly stunned by the audacity. Like what? I asked. Consistent? Emma scoffed. He was going through something. And so was I said evenly. I just didn't outsource it to a collective of strangers. His eyes flashed. That's not fair. Fair? I echoed. You left. You told me to keep the ring. You said you didn't deserve it. You didn't call. You didn't explain. You disappeared. I thought, he began. I cut him off. That I'd panic, that I'd beg, that I'd wait, that I'd hold the ring like a placeholder until you came back and decided my life could continue. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Because that was exactly what he thought. Loading took 2 hours. And every 15 minutes, he tried to create a new negotiation. What about the coffee maker? He asked, pointing toward the kitchen. We bought that together. I have the receipt, I said. My card. He blinked. Seriously? Yes. He tried again. What about the blender? My card. The patio chairs? My card. Emma's face darkened. You really kept receipts for everything? No, I said calmly. I kept a record of what I paid for. There's a difference. She whispered something under her breath. Something about me being calculating. I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. If being prepared made me calculating, then so be it. When it came to the small things, mugs, random books, that stupid framed photo from our first road trip, I didn't argue. I let him take whatever he wanted because I didn't want an end that dragged on for months through petty objects. But then he lifted one canvas, the sunset painting he'd done last year, and hung in our hallway. That one, he said, voice softening. That one was for us. Then take it, I replied. It's yours. He looked at me, like he expected me to suddenly say, keep it here, keep a piece of us. I didn't. His hand tightened around the canvas edge. Emma stepped closer, her tone shifting into something theatrical. You know, she said, 4 years means something. Yes, I said, it meant I trusted him. She tilted her head. So you're just done? I met her gaze directly. He was done the moment he decided to move out and find himself on another woman's couch. Emma's lips parted. He cut her off quickly. We're not doing this. Oh. So that part was still something he wanted hidden. I let the silence hang there, thick and heavy, like a secret that didn't belong to him anymore. He cleared his throat again, desperate to regain control. Kinsley, he said quietly, stepping toward me once the last box was loaded. I know I hurt you, but can't we at least be friends? I stared at him. Friends. The word landed wrong, like he was offering me crumbs and expecting gratitude. Friends don't abandon each other through text messages, I said, and friends don't find themselves in someone else's studio at 2 a.m. His eyes glistened. You're twisting it. No, I said, I'm untwisting it. Emma grabbed his arm. Come on, she snapped, as if I was the one embarrassing him. He hesitated, one last moment, one last attempt to make me soften. Kinsley, please. I stepped back. Goodbye, I said. They drove off. That night I changed the locks again anyway. Not because I thought he'd break in, but because once trust is broken, safety becomes a ritual. And I wasn't about to let him live in my house, even as a ghost. If breakups were storms, mine didn't rage all at once. It arrived in waves. The first wave was him. The second was his sister. The third, predictably, was his mother. She called on Wednesday afternoon while I was in the middle of a video meeting. I let it go to voicemail, already knowing the tone before I ever heard her voice. An hour later, curiosity got the better of me. Kinsley, she said, voice trembling with manufactured concern. I'm very worried. He says you threw him out and sold his engagement ring out of spite. He has nowhere to go. He's staying in a cheap motel. I don't understand how you could be so cruel. I replayed that sentence twice. Out of spite. I called her back. Patricia, I said evenly. He texted me that he was moving out. I respected his decision. There was a pause. But selling the ring was legally mine until marriage, I said. He told me to keep it. He said he didn't deserve it. He didn't mean it like that. That's interesting, I replied, because he meant it clearly enough to move his things out and stay with another woman. Silence. Aw, what do you mean another woman? I exhaled slowly. You might want to ask your son where he's been staying, and why he was asked to leave. Her voice sharpened. Are you accusing him of cheating? I'm stating facts, I said. Interpret them however you want. The call ended abruptly. No apology, no clarification, just a dial tone and the distinct sense that a narrative was being rewritten without my consent. That was the moment I understood something important. People don't ask questions when the answers might implicate someone they love. They ask when they're ready to accept the truth. And Patricia wasn't. The next 2 weeks were a lesson in desperation dressed up as dignity. First came the emails, long, rambling philosophical messages about growth and timing and how space doesn't have to mean separation. I didn't respond. Then came the texts from unknown numbers. I miss you. You're overreacting. We could fix this if you'd just talk to me. I blocked every single one. Finally, silence. And then, like clockwork, the truth started to surface without my help. I heard it through Sarah, a mutual friend who still believed in accountability and didn't confuse neutrality with loyalty. Have you heard about the collective? She asked me one night over the phone. I hadn't. Apparently, the woman he'd stayed with, Maya, wasn't just a mentor. She had a pattern. Young men, emotional vulnerability, studio sleepovers. Her boyfriend hadn't come home early by accident. He'd been suspicious for months. And once the story broke, it didn't stop with them. More people started talking. More stories surfaced. The collective shut down within weeks. Unpaid rent, misuse of member fees, blurred boundaries that were suddenly very visible in the daylight. Maya disappeared from social media. And my ex? He tried to crawl back into the life he'd burned. The marketing firm wouldn't rehire him. They'd already filled his position. His savings evaporated between motel fees, storage units for his art supplies, and rideshare bills he never budgeted for. He moved back in with Patricia, 2 hours away. At 34, when Sarah told me that, I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not pity, just relief. Because I wasn't responsible for his landing. I'd simply stepped out of the way. Meanwhile, my life grew quieter, cleaner. The house stopped feeling like a shared space I was constantly defending. No canvases leaning against walls. No paint water in the sink. No conversations where I was asked to be patient while someone else figured it out. I sold the spare easel on Facebook Marketplace. Used the money to buy new plants. And one night, scrolling absently through my phone, I realized something startling. I hadn't thought about him all day. That's when I knew the story was ending. Not with revenge. Not with a confrontation. But with indifference. 2 months after the text, the one that was supposed to scare me into chasing him, my life no longer felt like a reaction to anything. It felt intentional. The harassment stopped completely after the move out. No more calls from unknown numbers. No more emotional essays masquerading as apologies. No more third-party guilt delivery from relatives who wanted me to absorb consequences that weren't mine. Reality had finally settled in. Sarah filled me in on the rest over brunch one Sunday morning, sliding her phone across the table with a familiar look, half disbelief, half exhaustion from other people's poor decisions. Maya's boyfriend filed for divorce, she said. Apparently, he'd been collecting evidence for months. I wasn't surprised. Once people start talking, they rarely stop. Turns out, the art collective didn't implode because of one scandal. It collapsed because the foundation had been rotten the entire time. Late rent, misused membership fees, a rotating door of mentorships that blurred lines no one wanted to examine too closely until they did. My ex hadn't been special, just convenient. His savings burned out fast. Storage fees for all that essential equipment. Motel costs he never budgeted for. No job, no fallback plan. No one impressed by his creative awakening once it stopped being romantic and started being expensive. He moved back in with his mother. Sarah hesitated before adding, "He's been telling people the art world is corrupt, that women take advantage of men's vulnerability." I almost laughed. Almost, because the irony was sharp enough to cut glass. He still hadn't figured out the one consistent factor in all his problems. As for me, I used the leftover ring money, the part that hadn't gone to Vegas, to finally buy the motorcycle I'd wanted for years. Took a safety course, joined a local riding group, learned how good it felt to trust myself on the open road. A month later, I started seeing someone new. Nothing dramatic, no fireworks, no chaos disguised as passion. His name is Ethan. He's 36, has his own place, his own career, his own emotional regulation. He doesn't need to find himself. He already knows who he is. And the most surprising part? Peace is addictive. The house feels like mine again. Quiet, organized, grounded, no canvases taking over every surface, no guilt wrapped in creative language, no waiting for someone to decide whether I'm worth staying for. He wanted space to become an artist. He found out he wasn't one. Maya wanted admiration without accountability. She lost her relationship and her reputation. Patricia wanted a villain she didn't have to question. She got silence instead. And me? I wanted a partner who chose me without hesitation. I found out I didn't have one. So I chose myself. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud. It isn't cruel. It isn't even intentional. Sometimes it's simply believing people when they tell you who they are and letting them live with it. The trash didn't walk itself out. It asked for the door. I just didn't stop it.